Okay.
Okay, all right, no problem. Yeah, this page starts it off, and it talks about the fact we prepare the village's financials. This has been in your report for many, many years, as it is for almost all of our clients. So we prepare the financials, and we did have some material entries, which are outlined on the back of this report. But the questions, I think, were pertaining to page 7 and maybe flowing onto page 8 a little bit, that get to some new points that we wanted to communicate with you this year. One is the library funds that are restricted, and they have been for about 20 years. So I've been working with the village for a long time, so I've got some kind of historical understanding of this. And it has been reported in the financials, but not everybody reads the entire set of financials. So we really wanted to emphasize this. And not only that, but you are at the point, kind of the trigger point where these funds were to be available for that final debt payment. So when they built the library foundation raised money, $90,000, and they turned it over to the village for the construction of the library. But by the time it got turned over, it was already built. And so there were those funds available. And then the bonds that were issued for the construction as well, they weren't entirely spent down. So there's another $146,000 available for that. So, or 156. So combining those two, we come up with that 246,000, and that's been sitting in your debt service fund to make that final payment on the debt, which happened last year. I believe the village still went through the normal levy process and paid it, not completely aware that that was available, but I know that there are other needs at the library, which is village structure. And so this is to really kind of emphasize to everybody here and village management that those funds are available for capital needs. They can't be spent on anything. They have to be for the library because of the external restrictions for the donations 20 years ago, as well as the debt documents that restrict the use of those.
So is that cash on hand then?
Yes, and it has been for 20 years.
Okay, and do we have it in an account accruing interest or anything?
Sure, yep. It's at the state investment pool, I believe.
It's in the LGIP,
Yep.
LGIP fund pool.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, so. It is something we ran through every year at the conclusion, and that's when this got established, we restricted it and made sure it was all set for the accounting. Yep. The other thing that's reported right below here, the ambulance and recreation fees, I believe get directly to your question though, and kind of two related but different issues. So the joint venture along with the city for the EMS operations, the city worked with a provider that we see at many of our clients, but they were bought out during 2024. So there's a change in reporting and a change in operations. And during that transition period, the services were still being provided, but the accounting and especially the reporting for those runs was not great. And so there was a lot of working with that vendor from places throughout the state to try to get better reporting and such, and they did get it back to where it needs to be now. They made that transition, but during 2024, the revenues that were collected or the fees that were collected by the city and turned over to the village did not meet our expectations. They were quite a bit lower than what we normally saw in 2023 and prior. And so we worked with the village, we worked with the city, a different audit team, to try to get that straightened out. They worked with the vendor. So now we're in the 2025 audit, and they are back to where they've been in the past, but they just didn't appear to be they didn't seem, if you look at the 3-year average, it was still lower than what we would expect. We can't say that because we don't have that information, we don't have the run information. I think Matt gets that from the city. I think our point here was to have a little bit more control and observance of what the expectations are for those collections each month as they come in, and to be pushing the city and this provider for good reporting. And so that is still kind of in process, and we wanted to make sure that that was communicated to the board. Related to that are the recreation fees, and so those are typically budgeted about $150,000 a year. And during our audit, we could see that analytically they were at zero. They usually are at around 150,000. So that is something else. I think kind of gets to the same point. If there's another collecting agency, in this case a city or somebody else, just to make sure that there's a good monitoring of what the budget to actuals are and what those expectations should be as far as those revenues coming in. It's no different than if you have somebody processing payroll. You want to make sure that those amounts going out are correct, and there's some kind of self-governance or checks to make sure that they are meeting expectations.
Has the $140,000 been paid yet?
For the rec fees, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we
And
accrued
then-
that as part of the audit as
Okay.
revenue, and it's been
Are
collected.
the EMS fees from 2024 still recoverable for the village?
That I don't know. And I can't even say that you're owed. They just seem low.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Good questions. Do you want me to keep moving through this report? I can. As we're auditing some of these are new points, so we're auditing some of the compensatory time. These are accrued balances. We did notice that exempt employees were having some accruals, and the policy doesn't allow for that. So our recommendation is simply to adhere to the policy or amend it if that seems appropriate under this situation. And then this last item is something that there are, in the previous slides, what we were going to hit on with the highlights are the fund balance assignments. So there are a lot of different amounts that are tracked within the general fund for police and parks and a couple other areas that we call assignments. And those are things that come in through donations and grants and those. And we would like the village to be tracking that activity, as amounts come in, it gets spent, and ideally to accrue a little bit of interest towards them, although it would not be much each year. And so, we've worked with the village to get that in place and would like to see that kind of ownership going on, because as auditors, it's hard for us to know exactly all the activity of the village from just being here for a week. So that's where that recommendation comes in. Most of these, I would say, are just kind of best practice things versus control issues, but there's certainly some overlap in those areas. So those are the main things I wanted to point out in this report, but I'm going to flip it back. Would anybody like us to walk through, because Lee and I were going to walk through the financial highlights to talk about the numbers, but you can take a look, and if you're comfortable with them, we don't need to.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I just figured if anyone who is watching or wanting kind of the highlights of the village financial health, it might not be a bad thing to touch on where we stand credit-wise and debt-wise, since we have some large projects coming up that may potentially require creative
So let's
financing.
go through the highlights. Is that okay with everybody?
Okay, all right, okay, good. We like that because we plan for it, so.
I mean, you did the project. I feel bad that you don't get to present your work,
No, I think there is a lot of value in this. I would agree, and so we'll walk through this. Hopefully, I don't go too quickly. I'm going to let Leah talk about the enterprise funds, but just overall, step back for a second. So the audit did go well. I say that because we issued a clean opinion, unmodified opinion, which means your financial statements are prepared according to GAAP. We did have a number of entries, but they were down from the previous year, so I think that's good, continual improvement in that regard. We also completed the library audit, the Pewaukee Public Library, and I met with them back in May, and that went well as too. So with these numbers, though, so this is the first page, and this page and the next page are taking a look at your general fund. So as you know, the general fund is the primary operating fund of the village. And this bar graph, the light blue are 2025 numbers in thousands, and the black are last year's, so for comparison purposes. So at the very top, you can see the total fund balance is actually, it went up, and it went up $643,000. Knowing that, I'm going to jump to the bottom because that's the total, but then it's kind of made up of separate buckets, if you want to say, of unassigned, assigned, and non-spendable, those other three bars. So non-spendable, if you can go back Go back up the other way, Matt. Thank you. A little more. Yep, perfect. And then, so the very bottom, that very little bit of amount there, that's non-spendable. It is just what it sounds like. It's in your fund balance, it's in your equity, but you can't spend it on anything else. And it's actually a prepaid amount. GAAP drives that. It's only 1% of your total fund balance, which is good. With that, and I say it's good because it gives you flexibility. You can fund other things of a bigger need. It's not tied up, so to speak, with other commitments. What we see at some other places, if they have a TIF with a large deficit or a utility fund with a large deficit, they have to get the money from somewhere, and they usually go to the general fund. So the general fund may have money, but it's helping another fund out so substantially that you don't have a lot of liquidity in it. Your general fund is in a good place. Just a little bit and restricted from the park maintenance that was donated years ago. Assigned is at 2.5 million, and that's getting back to that point I just talked about. These are specific items that have been in that fund. You know, I think the DARE grant and a couple other things for parks and such. It's in on page 43 of the financial statements. That's what makes up that assigned amount. But the biggest portion of that, 1.9 million of that assigned, is made up of something that I'll get to on the next page. That's your infrastructure account, which is kind of the plug if the fund balance goes over your policy. Everything else is in your unassigned, and that is driven by your policy. And again, we'll talk about that next page. So in the very bottom here, that summarized income statement, like I said, you had a surplus of $643,000. Your revenues came in about $1 million over budget, and that was driven by permits being over, ambulance being over because of some of that catch-up that we talked about and getting kind of back on track. But the biggest driver is investment income. So LGIP, your funds are in there. They had another good year in there, so it's about $350,000, so about a third of that variance. Expenditures were over budget as well, though, so it kind of decreased that a bit, and that was driven by overages in police and building inspections, which is related to the permit, the revenue side, as well as public works and planning. The details of all that are in the back of your financial statements on pages 54 to 57. So if we flip to the next page here, again, you'll see how that plays out according to your policy. It's kind of a boring graph because it's right on the maximum amount, except for a small blip 5 years ago. But that light blue is your minimum that you're trying to maintain, 35%. The black is the maximum, so 40%. So again, every year your policy says try to keep it within here. You've been at 40% for the last 5+ years. Anything above and beyond that goes to that infrastructure account that we talked about that's still in your fund balance, and it's available to reduce borrowing in future years, or just to simply have capital outlay. That infrastructure account was up from 2024 by 500,000. So most of the increase in the fund balance went straight to that infrastructure account, which is great. It's a great policy. It's a great way to reduce future borrowing. Okay. Any questions on the general fund?
Now, the 35%, that's what we have to keep, or we don't have to keep, but we've set it there at 35.
Yep.
For emergency purposes only.
Yep. It's a policy decision. I think it's great that the village has a range to allow some flexibility and such, because if you went back, a number of years, it was much harder to maintain that level.
Yeah, the state says what, 20%? Or
I don't think there's any state guideline. The Government Finance Officers Association says 2 months at a minimum, so that's 17%, and that's just simply for liquidity. Most places we audit have, actually, it's on this graph. You can see right around 38%, those dots.
Okay.
Yep. So you're right in range with other places we audit in the state of Wisconsin. Yep. Especially levy limits and such, it's always good to have a bit of a cushion. Okay, so the next page, page 3, is talking about debt. And this takes a look at your debt capacity. So the black line is your debt limit, and that's 5% of your equalized value. That's a nice bump, 9.5%. Your TIFs and such are starting to move in the right direction, so that's a pretty nice increase this year. The red line is your general obligation debt, your GO debt, and that went up 7.5 million. So you issued about 10 million in new bonds, and you paid off about 2.5, so the net increase of about 7.5. So you're sitting at 41%. That's the calculated amount at the top there of your debt capacity that you're using. That's up from 34% in the previous year and 32%. So it has gone up. You're a tad above your own internal policy of 40%, but just barely. I want to add that right below here, you get a breakdown of what makes up that $31 million of debt. And 12 of it is actually being funded by the fees in those utility funds in layman, and the TIF, the increments coming in to fund 3.7 of it. So if you looked at just the debt that's being paid for by the levy, you're at 20% of capacity. So about half that. Okay. And then one more slide on debt. And this is your debt service. So this is your principal and interest that you pay, not utility, just governmental funds and TIF, compared to the rest of your non-capital governmental expenditures. And so we always recommend to try to keep that around 20% or less, and you are every one of these years, 16.5%. You're really around 16 to 17% each year, with a decrease in 2024, just a short blip there. Some debt was paid off before new debt was issued. And again, other places we audit, you can see where those black dots are, so you're right in line with them as well. Any questions on the debt? No? I'm going to turn it over to Leah.
All right, I will talk about the 3 utilities. They all kind of have the same structure. So for water,
Name and address.
Leah Gaffney of Baker Tilly. Is that okay? So for the 3 utility funds, they all operated during 2025 with 2022 approved rates, just to note that. So for operating results of the water utility, it came at operating income, kind of went back to the typical revenue and expenditures. In 2024, there was kind of significant well rehab and water tower painting. That's what drove the operating loss pretty significantly in 24. So we're kind of back to operating revenues covering expenses by about $66,000. After you do incorporate non-operating, like interest expenses and transfers, the water utility did have a net loss of about $212,000. As far as unrestricted reserves, that's essentially cash that's not restricted for any sort of construction or debt purposes. So that's at about $1.2 million. Recommendation here is at least 6 months of unrestricted reserves on hand, so good healthy balance of just over 9 months. The investment in capital, essentially what's in the ground, above the ground, and how does it get financed. So anywhere above 50% is typically a good sign. So 58% equity versus 42 debt. So good news there. Sewer utility on the next slide, at an operating income of positive $130,000. After non-operating, it still was running at net income. Unrestricted reserves are over 18 months, and then the investment in capital is at 80%. So all positive notes there. Stormwater utility, again, a good healthy gap between operating revenues and expenses. The net income for the year was just under $100,000, just under 10 months of unrestricted reserves on hand, and 77% equity for investment in capital. So positive notes there for the stormwater utility. Lastly, just some highlights on the Layman Fund. So that fund got a net income of just under 100,000, which is shown at the bottom. Both revenues and expenses did decrease from the year, mainly due to just gas prices decreasing for 25. So that kind of flowed into increasing of the overall net position and the cash balances for that fund. So all positive changes for the Lehman Fund for 2025. That's all I have for the utilities and Lehman Fund. Any questions
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
on this or anything we covered?
I guess the only question I have, John, is with all the information that we always get every year, what is the position of the village, in your opinion, as far as money, debt service? You know, are we good? Are we with other people? We better?
Your debt management, and I know you work closely with Baird, your bond advisors, is in good shape, as you can see. The amount of debt, it's gone up, but you have some pretty active TIFs going on right now, which you did not several years ago, and some big projects too. And I know, potentially some much bigger projects. So there's a lot going on. Of course, and I always add this caveat, as auditors, we're looking at December 31st and back for a year. And to project forward is always challenging because that's more of a finance person, and it kind of depends on the various projects with water and everything else going on in the village, whether you're well positioned. So I think it's really important to pay attention to rates, projects and how those are going to be financed. Of course, working with the regulatory agencies like DNR and everybody else for all these things, it's, there's a lot. And so are you well positioned for all that? I guess it depends. But at December 31st, you're in a good place, and you have been for years. That's my opinion.
And the last question I have is, you've been with us for 20 years. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
You've seen a lot of changes over those 20 years with
Yes.
people coming and going.
Yeah.
Compared to what we've had in the past, how was your audit gone? How did the audit go? Was it as easy, better, challenging?
Well, we put it this way. We work with our clients no matter where they're at, as far as if we have 0 entries or if we have 50 entries. And we ask for a lot of things, and what I think the best indicator of is are they move in the right direction. And I would say there has been a lot of changes at the village, and more things going on too, more funds, more bonds. There's just a lot more activity than there was certainly 20 years ago, but even 5 years ago. And so I think each year, Leah and I and the rest of the team will keep working with people at the village and moving the dial in that direction, because that's a win-win for everybody. But we have had more entries in the last few years than we used to, certainly 5-10 years ago. But that's okay. I'm not, being critical of that. That's just where it's at, and we work closely to make sure that the records are in good shape. And there's some areas where we come in and we do the capital assets for the village, because that's a big lift. If you don't have the resources internally to do it, it's got to get done, unless you don't want a clean opinion. And I know that's important for a lot of reasons. So we have more involvement than we have had, going back years
You've
ago.
had more involvement with our
Yeah.
staff
Yeah.
and a better,
Well, more involvement as far as like helping the village with certain things like capital and debt and things like that. Yeah.
okay.
But you also used to have staff here that was here for a long time.
Mhm.
So we're faced with some of the same challenges that a lot of our clients are these days. It's, it's a skill set to come in and understand governmental accounting. It's not like you learn in school, and especially as you add complexities and a lot of debt. You've had numerous debt transactions back and forth, NANs, and all kinds of things going on. So it's not easy.
Thank you, John.
But, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having us. And thanks for having us back, too. We really enjoy working with everybody. And I really want to emphasize that. We really enjoy working with people here, and it's a wonderful community. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay, then we're gonna go on to, this is still a public hearing on ordinance 2026-07, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the Village of Pewaukee to assign zoning of PWV 0925-998-001 to IPS Institutional and Public Service District. I will open up the public hearing on that. Will anyone like to make a comment or anything as it relates to that particular item? Okay, then I'll close that public hearing. Next is item 3, approval of the previous meetings, minutes from the June 16th, 2026 regular village board meeting. I'll look for a motion to approve as presented, unless there are any questions, comments, or corrections.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second, Peter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are hereby adopted. Item 2, minutes from the June 22nd, 2026 special village board meeting. Again, I'll look for a motion to approve as presented unless there's some correction, comments, or questions as it relates to this particular item.
Motion to approve special meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do we abstain from the special?
Abstain.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but
Okay.
if you feel it necessary, you can.
I don't.
Okay. Item 4, citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to share their opinions with board members on any topic they choose. However, due to Wisconsin open meeting laws, the board is not able to answer questions or respond to your comments. All comments should be directed to the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker with time indicated by an audible alarm. When the alarm sounds, speakers are asked to please conclude their comments. Speakers are asked to please use the podium and state their name and address for the record. Is there anybody in here that would like to make a comment on anything this evening? Yes, ma'am. We'll start in the front and go back. Yes.
Hi, I am Terry Williams Conley, 210 Park Avenue, Pewaukee. I did see that tonight the board is going to be discussing e-bikes, and I'm really happy to know that that's an issue that's going to be discussed. I very much would like to see them regulated. I imagine they're great fun for the kids. If I was a kid, I would want one. But I've had some scary experiences walking my dog on the sidewalk. Suddenly, and you don't hear them, they come up very quietly behind you and can really startle you. And sometimes we see people, young kids, even on, today I saw someone on this tiny little motorized bike whipping down Park Avenue where you could barely see the kid and barely see the bike, and we often see kids going down middle of the street. I think clarification as to what the rules are, what the laws are, if there are such. I grew up in the village. I was a child of the 60s. We had to have licenses for our bicycles. I would like to see licensing, and I know that this is a big deal because so many different households have the e-bikes, but along with the licensing, I would like to see a course that has to be completed so that the people who will be operating these electric bikes will have knowledge of the laws and the rules. I think it's just a major safety concern. I'm concerned about the young people or even older people operating these electronic bikes. They're basically motorcycles at all different sizes, but also safety for the citizens, for pedestrians, and for people driving. So I would very much like to see that. I think a joint project between the police and Park and Rec to be able to hold classes for this type of registration, I think would be a really good investment, first of all, for public safety. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Diane?
My name is Diana Conway. I live at 260 Prospect Avenue, and I'm speaking on the topic of the renewal of Prospect Avenue slated for 2027. My husband and I have lived on Prospect Avenue for over 40 years. Currently, this street is in need of repair, and we and our neighbors understand that there are several options being considered for this project, including an easement and a sidewalk on the south side of the street. This would involve great expense and a much longer period of inconvenience for those of us living on and also those using Prospect Avenue. The sidewalk on the north side of the street is not widely used. In fact, during summer school this year, I kept an eye on traffic and foot traffic, and it was car traffic, and very few people on the street. And so children aren't walking to summer school. They aren't walking to school during the regular year. The sidewalk is mainly used for people walking their dogs. And the north side of the street is certainly adequate for that purpose. So having another sidewalk would really only be cosmetic in nature and at best, and a safety hazard at worst. And I won't go into details on that, but if you live on that street and you watch what's going on, especially at school times, you would understand. And I hope at some point there will be discussion where we will have an opportunity to discuss some of those issues that would result from another sidewalk, as well as the bike path that will kind of be adjunct to that to some degree. So what I'm asking is for it to be possible for those of us who live on Prospect Avenue to be able to provide input before a decision is made on those options, because after all, we are the ones who will be having to live with the outcome all day, every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, miss.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Hinkle, 244 Richmond Drive, e-bikes. The only reason why I wanted to stay and talk for this meeting was I almost hit a kid on an e-bike coming off of Morris Street. Now, I travel a lot down Wisconsin Avenue. My daughter's temporarily living over there because they're building on Kottmeyer. And so he came out of nowhere, flying out of Morris Street. He went into Wisconsin Avenue, which is when I caught him out of the corner of my eye. I was looking straight ahead, and I kind of just happened to glance, thank God. If I would have hit him, and he was probably doing 20 maybe, he almost looked like he was going to lose it and wipe out. So then that passed, and then I was coming into the village, and I was coming down Wisconsin Avenue again. And a couple of kids two of them were on the sidewalk and one of them was on the road. I don't think they know the rules of driving. They don't have blinkers. They don't have front lights. They don't have back lights. They don't use hand signals. They're 11, 12 years old. You guys asked for the golf carts to have lights on the front, brakes on the back, 25 miles per hour areas, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what all the regulations are for the golf carts, but these bikes are gonna need a lot more regulations. I came up the hill, one of my sisters lives on Park Ave. I came up one of the hills, and just as I was coming up, I can't remember which one it was, two kids pulled out of a driveway on these e-bikes to come up the hill and almost collided with me. And I'm like, where are these kids coming from? How can one person run into so many e-bikes, one after another? And I mean, I get it. I have a lot of family in town, and I live in town, and we do a lot, whatever. But these e-bikes are super, super dangerous, and I would feel horrible if I killed a kid. These kids go down Capitol Drive, they're heading to Quick Trip, and they're looking back at each other. I just passed them today, or yesterday at the Village Park. they didn't even stop to take a left turn where the railroad meets, and then you guys have the yellow whatever in between the divider. This kid didn't even stop to look. He didn't stop to look right. He didn't stop to look left. I watched him, and I was like, I just am not even going to watch this. Let this kid go. So I don't know if you guys are running into this, but this is what a lot of the village people are seeing. And we're all talking about it, and we're all scared of them. Because we're scared we're going to kill them. And if we kill them, how responsible are we going to be because they did not abide by the law? What was the law? Now we're in court saying, what was the law? Was I supposed to yield from? I didn't see him coming. He didn't have a blinker. He didn't have a light on. He didn't have a brake light. He didn't use hand signals. So now you're getting into law issues of who's right and who's wrong. Who had the right of way, who didn't have the right of way. We all know as drivers who has the right of way. When
Excuse
you
me.
come to an intersection.
We are at the
I know,
3 minute
3
limit.
minutes.
Yeah.
But so we know at an intersection, you know, who to go first. They don't. They just don't. And they're like, oh, I don't know.
Thank you.
It scared me.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make one comment about you guys culture.
Oh, wait.
Hello, my name is Lionel Madrid. I live in 264 Prospect. I'm right by the cemetery. I got that big old Victorian house that I live in. And I understand I'm Diane's neighbor. And I'm also concerned with the new proposal for the sidewalk. And you don't see the writing on the wall. It's to me, I think you all eventually want to put a bike trail in there. And I see bikes going up there all the time. I see people walking, which is fine, which is on the other side of the sidewalk. I get out of my driveway where the cemetery is, people are flying over there. You got to take your life in your hands. If you want to back a boat in there, my neighbor here had a boat too. I seen her husband. I mean, you got to watch everybody coming over that hill, right there where the cemetery is. E-bikes, that's another concern. They want to put a sidewalk here on our side. That's just another obstacle that you have to get over. And I just want to say too that I am against a sidewalk or whatever. I hope that we get to have some opinion on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hi, I'm Cindy Luring. I live on 237 Prospect Avenue. I live on the opposite side. We shovel. We have the sidewalk. Problem is the e-bikes. I thought, growing up, that bicycles were not allowed on the sidewalk unless they were little tiny children. I have a driveway that I can't see sometimes. I have a giant van. As I back out, I can't see these kids coming down the hill on the sidewalk. If I back out and they're doing 20 miles an hour, I'm on my driveway. I haven't even hit the curb, hit the sidewalk. If they hit my side of my van, they're dead. And I don't know how to fix this. And I think there needs to be laws like there used to be growing up where they can't ride on the sidewalks. And they can't fly like they're on motorcycles because they are, we all worry. On Prospect Hill, it's horrible. And these kids they don't care. Yeah, they'll pull up, they'll cut you off. And if you're walking, I hear the people that are walking dogs and they're going, oh my God. So between those kids and the skateboarders with the little, whatever they are, the electronic skateboards, those two, but the bikes are the worst. So they have to do something. The village does have to do something. I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that hasn't said anything, like to say anything? Okay, we're going to move on to ordinances, and then we will be taking a short break afterwards. Ordinance 2026-07, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the Village of Pewaukee to assign the zoning of PWV 0925-998-001 to IPS Institutional and Public Service District. Is there anybody on the board that has any questions or comments as it relates to this particular item? If not, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the official zoning map of the Village of Pewaukee to assign the zoning of PWV 0925-998-001 to IPS Institutional and Public Service District.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 2026-07 is hereby adopted. Resolutions, we have none. Old business, we have one. And we will be taking a 5-minute break. If it goes beyond 5 minutes, that'll be fine. So we'll go between 5 and 10-minute break. E-bikes, so I'd like to drop down to that because I don't think they really wanted to say for the rest. Review, discussion, of possible action on village regulation and enforcement of e-bike and electric scooter use. And the reason I want to bring it down here is because what I would like to suggest to the board, if they're okay with this, would be to have Jim and Kelly discuss this at the their board.
Public Works and
Public
Safety.
Works and Safety, thank you. And bring it back to the board with everything put together. I think because that board is exactly what it's supposed to do, is Public Works and Safety, quote unquote, I think this is something that should be brought to them for their input and discussion. First.
I mean, I do agree with you that it is a safety. 100% is a safety. I'm curious what the temperature of this board is, though. So, like, if we were just to kick it down right now, because when is our next Public Works?
August.
Yeah. So our next Public Works meeting is August, which means then it wouldn't come here until September, which means then nothing would get enacted because then Matt would have to review ordinance, it'd have to get posted, public hearing, all this, so nothing would get approved till October. Kids are back in school and it's fall and it's a non-issue.
Would
I
would
don't know that
that,
it's a non-issue. And
Well, I want to say
fall,
non-issue, it's
but-
not as big of an issue. What I'm saying is, it's, well, how is it, I'm sorry, I'm still scrolling through the agenda, I'm trying to see, how is it phrased on here? Is it for action or just discussion?
204.
Action, but on a broad scope. So the
Right.
action intended is really direction to staff.
I mean,
Or it could be broad enough for a referral down to Public Works and Safety, but it's not broad enough to come up with the ordinance on the fly.
Yeah, I didn't think we could come up with an ordinance on the fly, but
Matt, would this have to go to a public hearing?
if we create an ordinance on it, right?
No, because it's not a zoning code amendment.
Okay.
So this could be done in the first meeting in August, and the second meeting in August, we could enact it, or that same
Well, no, we
meeting.
couldn't do it because we would just first discuss it in August, so
Yeah,
at
but our
the,
board meeting will be immediately following.
right. It wouldn't, which means it couldn't be on the agenda for this meeting.
Could it, if there was no changes?
Well,
Yeah.
if the intent is to, what's the intent to do with Public Works and Safety? Have a draft ordinance for that committee to consider, or is it to?
That's what
for
I
the-
would say, have a draft ordinance for that committee to approve,
Well,
and then it can go to,
I think what the president is suggesting is that the committee come up, take public input, the committee come up with what it wants to see and make a recommendation to the board on the broad strokes, then that is put in ordinance form and comes back to the village board. So if that's the intention, I don't think you could have Public Works and Safety, or you should have Public Works and Safety with an ordinance, boom, boom, same night. There's probably a lag between what happens in Public Works and Safety and then one more village board meeting.
right,
I mean, if that was the case, I wish we would have been tackling this spring when I first brought up the concern about bikes and e-bikes on the sidewalks. I think we're at the point now, opposed to being a situation like we were in last week with having to do an emergency bid project type thing and follow policy and procedure. I feel like this is something that we can discuss as a village board while we're here. I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
I think it's important. I think we should.
And we had the most people speak on a topic tonight that we've had all year, and I would feel bad to say, great, thanks for sharing your opinion, we're not going to kick it down to a lower board, we'll reconvene in September.
Actually August, but that's okay. I'm looking, I had asked the staff to get the ordinance that Heartland drafted, so we did have something to look at as to what they drafted. But I think there's a lot lacking in that, and that's the only reason I was thinking maybe Public Works and Safety, but if the board wants to discuss this, we can discuss it.
That's my opinion. I'm 1/7 of an opinion, though. I don't know what the rest of the board feels.
I guess the only comment I would have at this point is, it's not like we have free reign to do whatever we want with this. Okay, so the regulation of e-bikes and e-scooters, they still have, whatever we do still has to be consistent with and cannot be contrary to what's in the state statute. So we cannot go beyond and regulate further in this area than what they do. Now, what that looks like is still a gray area, because frankly, this is an issue that, as you all are aware, has really, for some reason, spread like a brush fire this summer, for some reason.
Because they're cheap.
Because they're cheap. But I bring that to a point to say that communities are way out in front on this right now. So, given we are halfway through the summer, to me, there is value in taking a more prudent approach rather than rushing into some regulation where we don't know if it's going to be something that's sustainable, to be honest with you. Because the gray area now is, okay, we can't have something that's contrary to state statute, but what does that mean? Where's that line? Communities are just now going to be pushing that line, and we're going to see now, where is that line? We don't know where it is.
Well, I think that brings up an interesting point. I think we're at the point of having a discussion about enforcement of the current state statutes that are out there. Because, if you want to go off of that, then what these residents were referring to tonight are not the pedal assist type 1 or type 2. We're talking electric dirt bikes is what these people are referring to, going up and down Park Ave. The kid that I saw riding a wheelie down Main Street last night, the ones that are building jumps in the park or along the river behind Seatman's property. That's not the elderly couple at the end of the park that has a pedal assist bike to get around downtown. So where we're at here is, I don't think we're trying to rewrite a book. I think we need to talk about what is current state statute, how is it applying to our current village, and then how is it being enforced? Because frankly, when I saw two small children, probably 10 and 12, on an electric four-wheeler going down Park Ave and pulling into Lehman Park, like, that's not legal anywhere. It's not. We're now taking an envelope and pushing it, and there's no line that we've declared. So I think as a board tonight, we can at least discuss where is the line here, and if we feel that there is something else that we want to take outside of that, then that could get kicked down to another board to create. But I think we owe it to our residents to at least discuss what lines exist out there and how is the village going to enforce that. Not trying to be a Karen here, but it is a safety concern. And I apologize if anyone's named Karen here.
I think there's also been a lot of confusion in people being told that if they should be on the street or if they should be on the sidewalk. And I don't think either one is ideal for the bikes. It's very concerning to see children navigating, our roadways who have never had any driving education. Everything everyone said before, is, I think we've all seen and experienced here as well. And I know that there's been some feedback that, Chief, your guidance, at least this is what it said, that your guidance is that they can't be on the sidewalks, which makes total sense from a pedestrian standpoint. But then you have kids in the street, and not just like on the side, like down the middle. But then your ordinance or the state statute, if I'm correct from memory here now, that that bikes are allowed on the streets according to state statute, correct? So we can't say that they can't be on the street. Is that true?
Are you talking about bikes or scooters?
I think do the scooters go as fast? I don't really see the scooters like down the middle of the street.
The class 3 goes up to 28 miles per hour.
On the scooter?
Yeah.
No.
Or the
that's an
electric
e-bike.
e-bikes.
Yeah, I don't think the scooters are like as big of a concern, or I just haven't seen them as much in like the road.
10 to 30 miles per hour.
It's an important distinction because the statute breaks it out between e-scooters and e-bicycles.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably the first step is, are we talking both classes of vehicles here, or
Well-
is there concern one or the other, or both? I mean, that's,
Well, and then when we're talking e-bikes, like I said, there's the big confusion between the three classes of them. And what I would say I've seen majority on our downtown streets, at least, between Park Ave, Main Street, Prospect, that these residents were speaking of, are the electric dirt bikes, which are the zero pedal, throttle controlled, twist activated throttle, which, I question, no gas dirt bike is allowed to be driving on the street, let alone if you're 12 years old, that they are only on private property. So why, at 9 o'clock last night when I'm walking the dog, why do I have 4 coming up behind me down Park Avenue on the sidewalk? It's one of those where that is not legal in any setting if it's a gas powered one, but all of a sudden you put E in front of it and we're going to turn a blind eye to it. There's a kid riding a wheelie down the full length of Main Street last night when I was sitting having a beer at Brewfinity.
They are darting out in front of cars, which is a valid concern that people said that people were going to get, someone's going to end up getting hurt. I also, what the person who commented about the golf carts, like we did put so many regulations in place for those to drive on the road by somebody that has a valid driver's license.
With insurance.
And a DMV sticker and all the million other things we made everyone do.
We scrutinized that ordinance that was brought forward about where they can operate, who can operate them, what legal, traffic laws they have to follow, and then we're going to just allow something else to operate in our streets with zero regulation.
And the kids are allowed then.
So,
are we allowed to make it a licensing procedure? Are we allowed to put those same restrictions
We're allowed
that we
to.
put on golf carts? Because I don't.
that's an open question.
I don't know where we.
But what I'm saying is the state statute.
A sandbox we can play in here to make this.
We can enforce state statute, which says they are not legal on the street.
Class 3.
The electric dirt bikes.
Right. Because it's a motorized vehicle. Take away electric, period. It's a
Right.
motorized vehicle.
Correct.
And they should apply to the motorized vehicle laws.
Like, would your
Wait, we can put age limits on it.
they're not, the electric dirt bikes are not allowed to be operated on public property.
Correct.
In the state of Wisconsin. It's clear as day in the black and white in the state statutes.
Right.
And they're all over the parks, the school property.
I wish Nick stuck around. He has voiced concerns to me several times about the dirt bikes and e-bikes tearing through the parks, building jumps, things like that. So they have a big concern about it, and they're wanting us to do something, not to put words in his mouth, but they're wanting us to do something about it.
Chief, are you getting a lot of calls from issues with it? Like, are you ticketing? Like, how does this work and look for you?
Well, I also brought along Rebecca Folsey. She's an officer that works second shift, and we discussed this earlier. We're in the education. We do a lot of educating. I don't think there's a business downtown that hasn't complained, every single one, because Officer Folsey is walking, patrolling the lakefront, patrolling the parking enforcement. So at this point, we're just in the education. We tell people, especially downtown, no riding on the sidewalk. You have to get off the bike and walk through the by the lakefront or by the businesses. And for the most part, everybody is polite. Nobody talks back to you. They understand and they're obeying it. One of the references I talked to Matt Heiser, and I said, the deputy chief said he saw somebody that made eye contact, and he said, "I'm sorry," and then he again just walked his bike. So very respectful all the way around. So that's what we're doing right now, is just educating. You have to go on the street. There there is no bike lane down at the lakefront, so to push them out into the street might not be the best idea as far as traffic, people getting distracted, so everybody's been obeying what we're trying to do.
So, I agree with you, because the interactions I've had with every one of them, every kid has said, I'm sorry, pause for a second, wait till I walk past, and then hop back on it and went tearing down the sidewalk. There was 4 kids coming up through Kep Park, and I said, hey guys, not on the sidewalk. They go, oh, sorry. They walk their bikes up Penny's Bridge, and I go, oh, good, at least they're going to walk them over the bridge. They get on them on top of Penny's Bridge and fly 15 miles an hour down the other side of it, jumping off the end of it. Same thing, walking behind Seatman property there. Walking the dog, some kid comes around the bend on his electric dirt bike. I go, hey guys, this is a walking path. Oh, sorry. They pause, wait for me to get past, get back on it, spin the tires and go. It's, again, e-bikes are e-bikes. You know, I get around New York City on an e-bike. It's incredibly easy and convenient. Get around anywhere else I've gone on vacation, rent a city bike, perfectly acceptable. You know, I understand the benefits of the e-bike and everything, and great fun, but what I'm saying is, I guess I'm a little jaded in the fact of how much we scrutinized putting golf carts on the road, to then just ignore the fact that the state does not allow these bikes, these electric dirt bikes, to be on the road, and we're just like, it's an e-bike. Nick, are you going to let your kid drive your car because it's an e-car?
Well, I don't think we're saying
You know, it's not a gas car, it's an e-car, so the rules shouldn't apply. Like, it's one of those.
We're saying that. I think we're talking about. I know.
I'm
just
talking in general. It's.
Yeah, I don't want.
I just don't. I just don't think we should keep turning a blind eye to something that the state already says is illegal to operate on our road.
Hey, Chief, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a pedal bike and an e-bike on the sidewalks? Can you ride a pedal bike on the sidewalk?
No.
Whoops.
Uh,
I do that all the time with my family. Yeah.
She mentioned, the kids
Tickets
don't
for
really
you,
know the
Cup.
difference.
Yeah.
They look at it as a bike.
Right.
But no, you can't ride a pedal bike on the sidewalk either. It's supposed to be in the street. That's state.
And what would that ticket look like?
$108.
$108 just for a bicycle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll go through municipal court.
Okay.
They look at any priors, age, community service, if they pay the ticket. So there's another aspect that you have to look at, you know, what happens after a citation is issued. We can write 20 citations, but what's the next step in the process?
Sure.
Chief, when they when bicycles regular pedal bikes have to be on the road, do they have to be on a certain part of the road?
It's just in the roadway.
Just in the roadway?
I think we, as anybody in our age, we used to pull a little bit to the right by the parked cars so cars can pass us. It's just listed as the roadway.
Share the road with bicycles.
I saw that on a bumper sticker.
I used to ride pedal bikes hundreds of miles all of the time, and like I used to be able to go 40 miles an hour on a pedal bike, and you would share the road. I would be driving like a vehicle in a 35 mile an hour zone, just hauling. But when I was going slower, I would pull off to the right and allow traffic to get around me correctly. But now giving that knowledge or authority per se to a 10 to 12-year-old,
Who've never driven anything this fast in their life. I mean, these are children, and the school sent out an email about it too, and the empty soccer field out there, and all around campus. Honestly, they're there every day. I think that's illegal for them to be riding on the school property like that, but.
And the problem is at WCTC also, there's paths to go from WCTC to the school, and they're going off the paths. They're going, it's more fun, it's in grass, it's jumps, it's everything else that goes through it. So they're dealing with a similar situation.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in favor of doing something ASAP, only because September's coming around. That's the start of school. I know school took action on it. They're not allowing them on property at all, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I believe you can't even ride an e-bike to the school and then park it in the bike rack and all that stuff. I might have read that email wrong, but I got that. But now we're going to have kids coming back to school, riding the bikes around like crazy to and from. And we heard from the residents, and just being a person out in the public myself, it's the number one complaint or concern. Safety everywhere. It's nuts. And something bad's going to happen. And I'm afraid if we don't do something and start taking action now, that's only going to happen.
The problem is, if we don't take action, because, as we mentioned, they are so cheap, it's going to keep getting bigger.
Right.
You know, once the school year starts and everyone starts talking about how cool their electric dirt bike is and all that, then it's going to be, what do you think the next Christmas is going to be filled with?
Well, I also think it's helpful to the school for us to give guidance as well, so that they can follow that and have some, legs to stand on for their rules and such as well, because they did send out an email I'd shared with Matt, but they're still kind of trying to come up with their own policies, it seemed. So I think if we had something that was more specific that everyone could adhere to, that would be helpful from the school standpoint as well.
If an accident did happen, if a car hit one of these bikes, would that be 2 motor vehicles? Like, how would that even be reported?
A bicycle is its own class of vehicle.
But are we calling these bicycles?
They are bicycles. An electric bicycle is a defined statutory term. An electric scooter is a defined statutory term. So that's what would...
So accident with electric scooter.
But you could get a ticket for an OWI operating an electric bicycle, but you can't get one doing a pedal bike.
Yes, you can.
You can?
Can't you? Operating while an OWI on a bicycle?
It's not a powered vehicle.
But you could still cause a traffic accident.
I think it has to be motorized.
I could cause one walking.
Good question.
Public intoxication, then.
Well, yeah.
Like I said, the e-bikes aside, like I said, the pedal assist and all those are the traditional e-bikes. I see those 5% or less of the time. Well, I have yet to see what appears to be an under 16-year-old person riding a pedal assist electric bike. What I'm concerned about is the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds that are ripping around on the electric dirt bikes.
7:14 p.m.
Thanks you, Bob.
Okay, so can we direct staff and Matt to draft us an ordinance?
We don't even need one. It's a state statute.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, or I guess that's where I want to jump in.
Okay.
If that's what you're talking about, these electric dirt bikes, you're in a class that's we're not even talking about what's addressed in the memo and what's in the packet. That's it's already taken care of.
But people see those as e-bikes because
Right.
they're electric. They have 2 wheels, so they're e-bikes. They are classified differently by state statute or by DNR, by everyone else that governs them. And it's like, we can even just enforce that right now.
So we can just enforce the state statute.
Which is what? Can you clarify? 'Cause
They're not
there's all
allowed.
these different classes.
They're just not allowed
here.
on the road.
They're not allowed on the road.
On the road or the sidewalk.
Or-
So what's in the memorandum, the class 1, 2, and 3 electric bicycles, those are different than what Trustee Grabowski is talking about. You're talking about an electric dirt bike.
But I think that still falls under one of the classes.
No, it's a class 3.
It's a class 3.
Yep. Correct.
The Waukesha Sheriff posted, it might take me a little bit to find it, but they posted that infographic about what fell under each class. But I think it's a class 3 that is no pedaling, all throttle, like all hand throttle action.
Correct.
Okay. I guess I'm not so sure that's the case.
What's in the memo for our meeting? It says Class 2 electric bike, equipped with a motor, throttle activated, and ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches 20 miles an hour. And then Class 3 is a motor that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling and ceases to provide assistance when the bike reaches a speed of 28 miles an hour.
Okay, then I may be, let's see. It's gonna take me a little bit to find.
See, I think an electric dirt bike is different than the three classes that we're talking about here.
Well, see, the thing is they classify these bikes by the manufacturer, how they classify them. So they can say this is an e-bike, but it looks like a dirt bike, runs like a dirt bike. And I mean, basically how they classified it is 1 and 2 have pedals, 1 and 2 have different speed thresholds, and 3 has no pedals.
Can we make our own definition if we were to create an ordinance?
Right, because what 11-year-old, like, we're having trouble wrapping our heads around this. What 11-year-old is going to know that I can do if this is a class 1, I can do X, but my brother who's got the class 3 can only do Y.
Well, if you look at the Village of Heartland's ordinance that just came out, and you take a look at what it says under section 2, it says class 3 electric bicycles. They're permitted on all designated bikeways, but riders must be at least 16 years of age to operate a class 3 electric bicycle, as per Wisconsin state statute.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to, at a minimum, adopt that or enforce that.
It's already adopted, so it's a matter of enforcement.
Right. So we got to figure out how to get that word out, educate, and enforce it.
I'm sorry, that is adopted?
Yes.
Yes.
The 16 and older.
Yes.
Right. So we're seeing these dirt bikes powered by 12, 13-year-olds zipping around, unlicensed, underage. That's what the biggest concern is. And then if
they
it
have a
becomes
driver's
class 1, 2,
license and they're on the street, like, that's a different story.
but it has to be licensed properly
Correct.
as well, just like the golf cart scenario.
Right,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah.
So, to clarify, yes, Matt, you are, as to be expected, correct. Class 1 and 2 and 3 would be with pedal. No pedals are electric off-road motorcycles, which are legal on all roadways and all public property, only legal on off-road trails on private property. And what we're seeing a lot of on the streets in Pewaukee are those.
Where there's no pedals.
No pedals.
Now, is that a class 3?
No, that's outside of the classes.
So all these
All the classes
Well,
of
that
electric
says
bicycles have some sort of pedal.
pedal.
So you have to have a
They all
pedal
have
to
a
be an
throttle.
electric bicycle.
No, they all have a throttle.
Then it's just the
These
class
have
of
no
motors.
pedals.
I read
That's
your
the biggest
memo wrong from
difference.
the last time then. And then there was a thing by the county sheriff too that I read too. Okay.
So you have to be 16 to operate something without pedals.
No.
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 They're just not permitted
You
at
could
all.
you could be 3, but because you're on private property.
Yeah.
Just on public sidewalks, roadways, public property, or private property that's not yours, like the school and the parks and things like that.
Those
Correct.
No, they're not allowed at all.
Right, they're not allowed on any of those
Correct.
places, the sidewalks, the streets,
Correct. You,
And
you
the-
can ride it around your yard.
right. They're gonna love that.
You know, you're gonna see
See a
some
lot
kids
of rings
like
around people.
Which is what-
There'd be a lot of yard sales.
Which is what it's all, I mean, I remember growing up and my buddy got a dirt
Yeah,
bike,
that's
a
what
little
you do.
a little
Yeah.
50cc
That's what we
dirt
did.
bike, and you just took laps around your suburban yard
Right.
because if you went on the street, it was illegal.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you would get pulled over
Yeah.
fast. Yeah.
Chief, how do you feel about all this conversation?
I called a couple chiefs today, and this is to say, hey, what happened at your board meeting? Heartland's a good example, and the chief wasn't there to answer the question. This is so new, and I think City of Waukesha is doing it also tonight. So they couldn't even share with me lessons learned, what are some of the questions they're asking, what do you suggest on this? It's so new to the whole thing. So, like Matt said, we're learning from other people, and sometimes it's not the best to rush. We can start issuing citations if they're on the sidewalks. We're in the education stage of it, and if it's something that you say, I don't want education, I want citations all over the place, we can start issuing citations as it applies to the state. Finding those, if you're walking the dog and you see, we're quick enough that we respond to some of these assignments very fast unless you're doing something else. If you see something, you know, don't hesitate to call us. But we can start looking for those dirt bikes that aren't supposed to be on the street. Some of the complaints were the bikes are driving in the street and they're backing out, and it's just so noticeable. They've never seen so many dirt bikes.
Yeah.
They've never seen how fast they're coming. They're not prepared to drive back out of their driveway and see bikes that they're by, and sometimes you shouldn't be aware of everything. So, clearly the easy ones are the ones on the sidewalk. But if somebody drove, I mean, right now, if somebody drove an open avenue on the sidewalk because they don't want to be in the street because of their age, would anybody really care?
No, I think when it comes, I mean, and I remember when that first came up, and I saw someone comment on there like, "I'll pay the ticket. No way in heck I'm going to have my young kid riding in the street." I think this is one where that has always been on there, the state law of no bicycles on the sidewalk. That has not been an issue, knock on wood, for the most part. You know, yes, there are a lot of places, if I was a parent, I would want my child riding his bike down the sidewalk opposed to a narrow street that cars are going 35 miles an hour. I'm not as concerned about pedal bikes in any way to say start ticketing every little kid you see riding down the street, you know. But I'm saying is the ones that should know better, that are the danger, I mean, especially in that downtown district. I mean, that is our pedestrian heavy, that is our tourism district, that is everything. And you're having kids still bombing down past the beach. And it's like, those are the ones where it's like, fine, if you want to give them a warning the first time, you know, that's fine, because if they're not learning from that, then I mean, I'm fine going forward issuing a ticket. I mean, I don't know what the record was. I think it passed 7-0, but we approved ticketing bullying in the school because kids weren't learning from verbal warnings. So it's like, frankly, I think at some point, I remember being a kid, like, yeah, you heed it, you're polite, great. I'm at least happy that the kids are polite, but they don't give a you know what. So, and it's a short-term memory. So it's like, take the Spider-Man approach, everyone gets one, cool, but like I said, these pedal assist e-bikes are making up about 5% of what we're seeing in the village. And like I said, going forward, I'm sure those expensive pedal assist e-bikes are not going to be the ones under the Christmas tree. It's going to be the one coming from the Temu box. That's going to be all over next year, especially, because they're only going to go down in price.
So we have a solution to the problem that's
Yes.
already developed. So I think the guidance is to our police force, what do you want them to do? My opinion is, I do agree with an education approach to it with a warning, but I think at some point ticketing needs to happen if they're repeat offenders, because kids are kids. So I would like to see it enforced under the current statutes that we have, not on the sidewalk, not on the street. Warnings being utilized and tickets to follow for repeat offenders.
How do we get that out to the public?
Kids will start getting warnings. It'll get around real quick.
Real quick? Well, I mean, I'm assuming like a Facebook post on stuff, and I mean, because if I were a parent and I just bought a $1,500 e-bike for my kid because all of his buddy has them and it promotes them being outside having fun, like a week later, then you're saying, oh, he can't drive that anywhere now?
No, they didn't do their due diligence.
I get it.
I was going to say, but see, the thing is,
I'm
we
thinking
didn't
of the
just
other
create
side.
it. Yeah.
I'm all in favor of, every time I see one of those things, I'm like, that kid should be pedaling. Like, that
Yes.
ticks me off, man.
I had to
I
pedal
bike
my
my
bike.
ass
Pedaling.
all the way across town to go to the pool, and I'm like, I wish I had one of those, but I didn't. And I'm like, pedal. And I'm like, yeah. But anyways,
I think
it's a safety thing, big time.
We could ask the school to send out something as well,
Well, we have our
Well,
Facebook
but
page.
what I'm saying is,
And the Facebook page, but the school has the direct
Yeah.
email addresses
Right.
to all the parents in the area, so I think that could be a way to spread the word.
We could play the cops theme song like during the post.
but it has,
On it too.
and not to put this on giving you guys homework or anything like that, but it has, I feel it has to be disseminated from the village police especially, because it has to be known that this is a, kind of like when the beginning of the season, the NFL refs post what they're going to be paying attention to this year. It has to be made aware that the village police are paying attention, are looking for, or, are now going to take action on this state law that's out there.
It's pretty clear, right, Chief? Like if you see one of these e-bikes, all you got to do is look to see if they have pedals or not.
Right.
If they have no pedals, that's illegal. Yeah, like that shouldn't be anywhere outside of their yard or private property.
And Chief, I would say, I think we all always support the education and your strategy to our community. And I would almost want to say that I think we've been doing the education for several months, if that's helpful. That we have been doing that, and like it's just getting worse, it seems. So like
It's easy to track this stuff too. I mean, the officers go out on an assignment with this. It's easy to get some data and statistics of how many stops, how many people were there, how many citations issued. So.
Do you guys track
It's
warnings?
not a problem to do that. What was that?
Do you track warnings?
We can. Yeah, we can.
Just so that you know if it's a repeat. Like if one officer made contact with them, and then a week later, a different shift officer makes contact with the same person.
also, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Since they're like children and they don't have licenses, what if they don't like know their address or things like that?
They get a cell phone. So they just call. We notify the parents.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can find out who they are.
So they're operating these things without knowing their address.
Okay.
As of right now, the village does not allow bicycles.
Say it again?
As of right now, the bicycles are not to be ridden on the sidewalk, just regular bicycles. And I've seen that for a long time. Huh?
No bicycles on the sidewalk.
Right,
Even if
you
it's a
can walk
child.
them,
You can walk them, yes.
and
You can ride them.
so I think if you're gonna go after the e-bikes, you're gonna have to do the same for bicycles.
Well, we're not targeting the,
But you have to, because if you can't, in our code, it says bicycles.
Well, no, well-
Cannot be ridden on the sidewalk.
I know, but what we were saying for a
And
target.
e-bikes cannot be ridden on the sidewalk.
well, yes, but it was primarily those dirt bikes that was the main target, if I'm understanding us correctly. Were we specifically also targeting any other e-bike?
No.
I wasn't.
I wasn't.
Well, we have to, if we're gonna uphold the law as far as what can be ridden on the sidewalk. Bicycles cannot be ridden on the sidewalk.
Well, I'm fine with that being
So
enforced
an
too.
e-bike cannot be ridden on the sidewalk.
Correct.
And the other issue we have is the operation of scooters, which is in our packet tonight. And I think this gentleman or somebody was mentioning scooters coming down sidewalks and roads. The state statute says that we cannot regulate that, if I read it correctly.
No, we can regulate that.
Oh, you can?
Scooters, you have much more room to regulate.
I just can't imagine anywhere where
Why does
somebody
it
would
say
allow
limited
motorized
to?
vehicles outside of like a mobility scooter to be on a sidewalk.
Okay.
Heartland allows motorized scooters on the
Is that-
sidewalks.
Like
Those are the
e-scooters
two
or
I've
mobility?
heard people
Yep.
complain about.
Yep.
The
They said they're
scooters.
allowed. Yeah.
People riding scooters downtown and interfering with their businesses.
Ask the owner of Lacage now after he just got smoked by one and broke his back downtown Milwaukee.
So there's more to this, I guess what I'm looking at here is the scooters, the bicycles, the dirt bikes, they're all, we're gonna have to come up with something that encompasses all of these. Actually, right now, we don't as far as bicycles on the sidewalks.
I think we're
So
good.
that's, we've already got that.
Yeah.
We're totally good on all of it. We just need to make sure people are aware of it and they're following up on what we're trying to say. But if they were to make a post or whatever, you should, maybe reiterate that, hey, there's no bicycles allowed on sidewalks, no matter if they're pedal, electric, whatever. And then you could say something about the scooters, whatever follows our ordinance. But then you also make it very clear that if an electric powered bike without pedals, per state statute, is not allowed anywhere unless it's private property. That's telling people those things are not allowed in the McDonald's drive-through, anywhere. That's not allowed. And I think that's what the residents were complaining about. I think that's what we were discussing most. Those are the things that are the most fearful.
But the sidewalks and the street.
Correct, anywhere.
Right.
Except private property.
Yes.
Yeah. They're allowed on.
Correct, yes. But that's a little different because a pedal bike could be in the street.
Correct.
So when we're,
An e-bike with pedals can be operated like a bicycle in the street.
Bob, you've been awfully quiet on this.
I recognize it as a problem. I mean, I've been involved in some near accidents already. Quite honestly, the fact that they can't use sidewalks is a surprise to me. And I guess I would be one of those parents that would be concerned about my young child not using a sidewalk. I'll look at the ordinance that Heartland puts together. I don't know if it's everything that we want or if it's too much. I just feel like it needs more review before we go forward. We need to do something. I don't know if we're ready to do it tonight.
well, can we proceed with what we discussed in upholding the state statute? And then if we deem that we need our own ordinance in addition, maybe that goes to the Public Safety and Works Committee?
But I thought we have ordinance already, right, Matt?
Well, we
So
follow the
upholding
state
the
one.
state statute.
Yeah, so it's set.
Yeah.
But do we need an ordinance like some of these other communities are doing on top of that for their own specific municipality? That maybe that could be reviewed by Public Works and Safety, but still proceed as we all, or not all, but as most of us just discussed about upholding the state statute and proceeding with warnings and then ticketing and educating.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's I agree. I think that's kind of our best approach right now. I mean, we don't need to rush to try to create our own something when there is something out there that we could start with enforcing.
Is there a need for us to have our own specific ordinance?
No, there's not. I mean, what other communities are seeing are these e-bicycles and the e-scooters are causing issues. What anecdotally you are all seeing is more of the electric dirt bikes, which is something completely different. So you could enact what Heartland's doing, but that wouldn't address the e-bikes. You already have something
Right.
in the books for the dirt bikes.
I'm sorry, am I
I'm kinda
completely confused on this? That are all the bikes that we're seeing running around town electric dirt bikes?
No.
Not all. No.
So are we not addressing the ones that aren't an official dirt bike by this state statute then?
Okay, so there's
Sorry.
there's three silos of, all right, let me try to put a cap on this. There are three silos of vehicles. The most uber extreme is the electric dirt bike. That's illegal everywhere. That's the simplest way
No
of putting it.
pedals.
No pedals, electric dirt bike. That is illegal everywhere.
Got it.
That's state
Yes.
statute. That is anecdotally what Trustee Grabowski is seeing. I think you said 95% of what you're seeing, something like that.
Completely anecdotal.
Completely anecdotal.
By my
I don't
guesstimation.
know that I agree with that.
Okay,
part
well,
of how-
that's
that
addressed
they're
with
all
state, that's
dirt
addressed
bikes?
with state statute.
95%?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I have the same.
Please let Matt finish.
I'm sorry.
So that's
Okay.
addressed by state statute. chief, police, the officers can write tickets on that. The second silo is electric bicycles. Those are pedals with an electric component. Those are also regulated by state statute. We don't have a separate code on that. So what our code defaults to is the state statute, which says all the rules that apply to regular bicycles apply to electric bicycles. They cannot be ridden on the sidewalk. If you have a class 3 bike, you have to have, or if you have a class 3 bike, you can only ride it if you're 16 or over. The third silo is electric scooters. It's a whole different ballgame. We have nothing in our code regarding electric scooters. They can essentially be ridden anywhere at this point. You do have some room to regulate them if you choose.
That was actually really helpful.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you. And I've seen all three.
I've seen all three as well, but
The nuisance is the non-pedal.
which are typically the
dirt
younger,
bikes that-
younger
Like
riders
the younger kids that are buzzing around all over the place.
that are riding through the parks and what have
The,
you.
the older couple, my age and older, who may have a pedal assist bike, they're operating them as a bicycle under the rules of a bicycle. Those I do not see as a problem. I could see electric scooters becoming a problem, particularly if we start regulating these electric bikes. We're going to start seeing scooters buzzing around. So I do think there's a need in the very near future to address the scooters. If it's not covered under state statute, if there's something we can do in a village ordinance, I do think that needs to be addressed. But I think what we discussed tonight for the near immediate future here, for the remaining part of the summer, is going to accomplish what we need to accomplish for right now. But there's further discussion on the scooters.
I just have a question. I'm gonna sound old here, but a scooter years ago used to be like a mini bike.
Okay,
That was a scooter to me. What I'm asking, the ones that got the pole that come up and you're like surfing.
yes.
That's
It's a
what-
skateboard with a handle on
Yes,
it.
that's a scooter.
That's now a scooter?
That's-
Yeah, that's a scooter.
Doesn't look anything like I used to drive.
Yeah, Jeff, you're not alone in that. If you look at any municipality that has talked about this on Facebook, it has gotten into the weeds of arguing between what is an e-scooter, and it's like, well, that's a 50cc moped, and it's like, no, yes, that's what people call scooters back. Yes, so you're not alone. It goes off the rails.
Okay.
I think we're clear on
Okay,
this.
Yes. So, sorry, I was confused about the pedal thing, but I got it now.
So what are,
Are you guys clear on this?
Educate, and enforce.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
And
Again, here-
we can come back with more statistics of how many interactions, how many citations, and so forth.
And is that all we're gonna leave it as? It's just with the police force to educate to begin with?
And I mean, I agree with Trustee Belt that, yes, I think going forward, if one starts to get, it's the water theory of path of least resistance. So if we start regulating or enforcing the regulations that are on the ones, it's gonna go to the unregulated side, because I'm sure the e-scooters are gonna be just as cheap this Christmas time. So that is something that we probably should put on the radar if we want to start that process to follow the due process of Public Works and Safety, and then bring it back here, that we can, and by then, we'll also have guidance by what Heartland has done, what Waukesha has done, what all these other municipalities have done with creating something around those.
so would you consider a mini bike dirt bike or a mini bike? Mini bike to me is 2 wheels, electric motor, you can buzz around, but you can't go off-road with it. 'Cause
That's
then
kind
it
of
has
what
the
I
big-
thought was we were talking about, like, also, but I don't.
Yeah. I'm looking at dirt bike, I'm looking at knobby tires. and-
That's what these pretty much have.
But
Okay,
they
so
might be small, but they
mini
might also
bike
be
is gonna be
larger.
different then.
Anything without pedals.
Anything without pedals, yeah, that is,
Right, I know that.
yeah, that is
That's what I'm
throttle
saying.
driven.
We haven't discussed even those.
that the ATV that pulled up at Lehman Park, I believe it was probably the father that was riding alongside of him on one of those. And I was like, so if the dad's doing something illegal, how are we trusting him to
Right.
not tell his kids to do something illegal?
All right,
So
I think
that's already
I
illegal.
think we should
We're
start
go-
with our plan.
That's
and
already
see
illegal, Jeff.
How much that,
Okay, so I just so everybody understands what's going on, where are we going from here?
Following the state statute.
So I think the consensus I heard was you've given a direction to the command staff of the police department to enforce current state law, maybe err more on the side of ticketing than education. That's the direction that was given. As to, and that's on the electric bicycles, that's on the dirt bikes. As to the scooters, that's kind of an open question as to whether you want to take further action or refer that to Public Works and Safety for like a semi-regular review and bring it back to the board, or just leave it for now and we can put it on a future agenda. I guess that's the open question. If there's any sort of follow-up you want staff to do besides the direction that's been given to the police department as to enforcement.
Got it.
Well, you know, my stand on it was the beginning, send it Public Works and Safety and get this put to bed.
I think since we're talking about it, I think we should just continue to push forward with the scooters and be proactive on that.
At this board level, or do you want to handle it first at Public Works and Safety?
Wherever we deem it necessary. I have no opinion on that, just wherever we think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary at this meeting right now.
No.
We got a large agenda still ahead of us, so I don't think it's needed to discuss right now. I just think it's something that should remain on our.
We'll put it on the Public Works and Safety agenda then to start the discussion.
Okay.
Is that all right with everyone? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move on then to the new topic. Item A, review, discussion, and possible action on proposal from Rupert Milky to write a facilities plan for lift station number 1. As you know, we do need some issues here. Are there any questions or comments as it pertains to this particular item? And if there are none, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the proposal from Rupert Milky? Or do you need more information?
I'm sorry, I was saying I don't even know where we are on the agenda.
We're back on
to
at
Got it.
8A.
8A.
Got
Number
it.
8A.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal for engineering services from Rupert Milky for the lift station 1 facility plan. Estimated fee of $64,000.
Do I have a second?
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Review, discussion, and possible action on change order number 1 from D.F. Thomas City Contractors for a 2026 street and utility project. Are there any questions, comments as it relates to this particular change order?
I like how they hit us with a change order of a savings
Yeah.
first. Like, hey guys, look, we came in under budget of this. We're changing it, and then the next 3 agenda items. I'll make a motion to approve the change order, saving the village $8,640 from DF Tomasini for the West Wisconsin Glacier Road intersection.
Second, Peter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review, discussion, and possible action on change order number 2 from D.F. Tomasini Contractors for a 2026 street and utility project. Again, are there any questions, comments as it relates to this particular item?
I'm going to just do the due diligence of asking Public Works Director, are these all warranted in your eyes, and are you okay with all of DF Tomasini's changes? And I know it was from expanded scope and everything throughout. You're all right with it?
Yes, yeah, we had some unexpected things come up, some sewer pipe collapse while we were trying to line. We also added that swale in, which was really, should have been included in the project, but the property owner didn't agree to it until after we started. So,
That,
but we really need that to have proper drainage for Lakeshore Road. So if you take a ride out there, you'll see the new swale that was installed. So previous to this project, the water was just kind of pond in that area. So now it should be better now.
I guess that's, I know that, that addition of it was needed. I'm just going to put a little footnote asterisk on this, or an asterisk on this for us to remember for future projects going forward when we have a property owner that is being difficult and fundamentally changing the scope of a project, that we either need to take action on it immediately or not reconsider in the future, because change orders suck, especially when they're large ticket items. So this gentleman cost the village a bunch of money.
Noted. I'll make a motion to approve change order number 2 from DF Tomasini Contractors.
Second, Grabowski.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Again, review, discussion, and possible action on change order number 3 from DF Tomasini Contractors for a 2026 street and utility project. I will look, are there any questions or comments as it relates to this particular item?
Motion to approve change order number 3.
Second, Peter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Next one is a, second. I gotta get back to the front.
It's up on the screen too there. So number F, or letter F.
Okay, review, discussion, and possible action on beverage licenses for 2026 to 2027. I will look for a motion to approve.
If I could just say something really quick about these. So this is only for Walmart and Taqueria Don Chava. So we're actually still waiting for the CUG documents with the signatures from Taqueria Don Chava that includes their patio. If possible, I'm looking to see if we could make picking up their official license, since they still have a provisional technically until the end of August, making it a condition to receive those documents and get them recorded with the county before they get that official license, including the patio.
So are they cleared for the internal, just not the patio?
Yes.
So then we'll do Walmart first, to do an application for Class A combination license, beer and liquor for Walmart. I'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that is passed. And then we have a application for a Class B license for Sal's Pizza Restaurant, Inc., DBA Tequila Don Chava. Per our clerk's suggestion. I will look for a motion with that entailed.
Motion to approve the liquor license with the stipulations that the clerk outlined.
Second, Peter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby adopted. Review, discussion, and possible action to confirm committee appointments by the village president. The first one is for the Public Works and Safety Committee. I would like to ask that Andy Sisler be approved. And then the second one is Joint Parks and Rec Board for Terry Morris. I'll look for a motion to approve both to their committee assignments.
Make a motion to approve appointments Andy Sisler to Public Works and Terry Morris to Joint Park and Rec.
Second, Kreiser.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jim, for getting me Andy Sisler. Appreciate that. Review, discussion, and possible action on quarterly financial report to the board. We have our staff member here, Colin, to give us any report. Are there any questions or comments from the board as it relates to this particular item? Do you want to just give us the high points?
Yeah, I'm sorry it's not more exciting, but I can happily report that it's not exciting. There's going on. Our revenues are pretty much right where we expected. Touching on what John was saying earlier during the audit presentation, with their ambulance revenues, they are up for this year. And we also have a tracking sheet now in place. Whenever we first got the draft for their reporting and insights back in April, Allison and I have since put together a sheet for that and a number of other payments that we get from the city on a regular basis, along with Lake Patrol, throwing that in there. So we do have a way to track these month to month. That'll also help us forecast for future revenues, even though that ambulance has kind of been all over the place in the last recent years. Expenses all kind of following in line the way they did last year so far with their first half. I know garage expense was a hot topic last year. And we're under budget timeline-wise if we just look at our total budget divided by days in the year. So we're looking good there to not go over. Again, plan commission expenses are over right now. I'd probably expect them to finish about the same as last year. I think they ended around like 90-something thousand for the year. But I mean, other than the usual operations, nothing too wild to report.
Are there any questions or comments? I'd just like to say thank you, Colin, for jumping in a while back when we were looking for a treasurer. You're doing, in my opinion, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the village.
Colin, I do have one question in regard to the non-budgeted expenses. The list that you put together. When there are items where we will be refunded money, how is that accounted for?
So we can't go, or we shouldn't go, with a negative entry through an expense. So I know a lot of people and a lot of other departments want to see, like, if they see a line in an expense account, they want to see it come back down. We'll see that revenue come into a revenue account, and you just net the two that way, if that answered your question. So you won't see it in the same line. It'll look like we're over in expenses, but then we're going to conversely be over in revenues in that regard.
Any other questions or comments? If not, then we'll move right on. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Review, discussion, and possible action on invoices, checks from June 2026. I will look for a motion to approve as presented all invoices except for the library, of invoices and checks, except for the library. Are there any questions or comments as it relates to that particular item?
Make a motion to approve the invoices and checks for June 26th.
Second, Kreiser.
That's except for the library, correct?
Except for the library.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Monthly checks and invoices are hereby adopted, and I'll look for a motion to acknowledge invoices and checks from the library for June 2026.
Motion to acknowledge invoices from the library in July 2026. To say that.
Second, Kreiser.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is hereby carried. Review and discussion to recap community events on the weekend of July 3rd and July 4th. I hope everybody's had a chance to go down there on those 2 nights. I think they were fantastic.
I agree.
Jim, I'm not Jim, Bob or Matt, who wants to start?
Yeah, I will, just going over a few words of thanks, first of all, to, obviously it took sponsors to handle the cost of the drone light show. Thank you to the City of Pewaukee Tourism Council. It took major sponsors to do the fireworks at the level that we did. Thank you to the title sponsor, Waukesha Gun Club, the Chocolate Factory, Seatman Realty on behalf of the lakefront businesses, Artisan 179. Believe it or not, when you look at the expense that we have with fireworks, there are only 51 individuals or businesses that pay for the whole thing. There's been estimated that we've had anywhere from 15 to 20,000 people watching those fireworks downtown, around the lake, in the boats. And it is a small group of businesses and people that pay for the whole thing. So I do want to thank them for doing that. I do want to thank the 115th Wing of the Wisconsin National Guard for their flyover, which was really cool. The Park and Rec, the DPW, Pewaukee Village Police Department all did a fantastic job in that whole weekend. I was proud to be associated with all of those. It did rain on our parade, but when you look at everything else that occurred between the fireworks and the drone show, fireworks was probably the largest crowd I've ever seen down on the lakefront. It was great. The shuttle buses that we had over 150 riders, and I'll tell you, majority of them were from out of town.
That's awesome.
It was a great thing, and they were all just talking about how fantastic it was. What are you going to do next year? That's a concern we have. Okay? But again, I think the 3rd and 4th went really well. Next month, we'll have a total of all of the costs. I don't have all the bills yet. Anticipate all the fundraising for fireworks we've met our goal, which is considerable amount of money. So I'll have that report next month. But again, it was a great 2 days, and went other than the rain on the parade. It was fantastic days, and thank you to everybody that helped with that.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Bob.
I want to throw a big shout out to Bob, and Matt had a hand in it as well, and every other group that Bob had mentioned. But I mean, the amount of effort you took on for that weekend was incredible. I don't think the people in Pewaukee or the people that came down realize what a logistical nightmare it is to put on one 4th of July event, let alone an entire weekend's worth. I had friends in from out of town that said, wow, I didn't know how Americana Pewaukee was. Like, this was like the quintessential small town patriotic celebration, and start to finish, from the 3rd all the way through the 4th. And weather be damned for the parade and duck race, like, it was still an incredible success. And I mean, I've never been more proud to be associated with Pewaukee than I was during that weekend. Like, I mean, like you said, people from all over, and everyone that was walking past my house was, hey, that drone show is amazing, oh my God. So yes, I agree
The drone show.
We are kind of screwed for next year. But thank you for your efforts in that heavy lift, because yeah, I couldn't imagine leading up to it in that last week what the stress was in your household. We were just trying to figure out how to do a duck race, and that was just one thing.
Did you enjoy any of the festivities? Like,
Not as much as I would have wanted to.
Okay.
If I can do one other call out too. Matt Heiser was there both days. He was helping me put up the stage. He was helping, carry band equipment. He was soaking wet during the parade. He did a fantastic job. And I do want to thank him for being there also.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
I also do state that he helped keep me sane during that period of time too. So.
Yeah, big congratulations. That was
was great.
Yeah, that really highlighted Pewaukee in the best way possible.
The details of like the drone show too, when they turned off all the lights and the music like was synced up, it was very well done.
Is there a video of it?
No.
What's that?
A video of it?
Video of the drone show?
Yeah, Momentum Real.
I gotta say, I was out of town. I go out of town every.
Patrick Johnson and Momentum Realty shot it with his drone.
Did he post it?
I just want to see it.
Oh, okay.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And for those that weren't there, the drones were launched from West Wisconsin Avenue.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was very cool.
and we were in the water, so I want to commend you guys, like your team, because everyone had to like move in certain spots. Like everyone was so patient when, your police boats were telling people to move and where to go. So thank you.
And to be down there both days, for as many people as we had, at no point did I feel uncomfortable or unsafe or anything. There was always a police presence, and didn't worry about any issues popping up. It literally was everybody just having fun and celebrating, and that was the best way possible. And I don't think we had any issues with the Dora. Is it Dora?
Yeah, the Dora.
Yeah, the Dora that weekend.
We've never made an arrest since I've been the chief 7 years. We've never had an arrest on 4th of July. No issues. Like maybe a lost cell phone. That's the worst. That's the best. At times I saw lines, 10, 12 people at Mixon. We had no issues whatsoever. Nobody intoxicated. Nobody complaints. Nothing.
That's amazing.
It went very well.
Hats off to everybody, you guys.
Yeah, that was
Great job.
great work.
We'll be looking forward to seeing what you do next year, Bob.
What's the
Might have
200?
been funded by you too.
And I'll try not to have any rain for the parade.
That was a lot of water.
That was
I had to raise so we opened the dam to get the river flowing, and from the time I opened the dam and we set the duck race chutes, because of the rain, I had to raise them twice. And by the time of the race, it was already up around the chutes on the banks. That's how much the river came up in that 1 hour of rain.
You know what was cool though, because we were in the parade and we got to like the part towards the beach when it was just like the skies opened up, and it was, at first you thought it might sprinkle and stop, and then it did not at all. But like there were so many people that just stayed.
Yeah.
Like I was seeing all the spectators like still staying and like enjoying it, and like kids dancing in the rain. Like it actually was like really sweet.
We still had kept Park full after the
it was
parade.
cool.
It was crazy.
And I learned very much that if I'm going to let somebody drive my convertible, show them how to put the top up.
I saw you put the top on over at the park.
Yeah.
Tried hollering at you, but
We
it
had
was
puddles.
too wet.
We had puddles. Anyway, thank you again, everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Great job, Bob and team.
Okay, item K, review, discussion, and possible action on land license agreement with Sioux Line Railroad Company, DBA Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, for land adjacent to Kottmeyer Drive. We will be discussing this in closed session. Did you need to recap anything on here, Matt?
I guess just for the open session portion, just for the audience and the public consumption. The village has been engaged in ongoing negotiations with the owner of the railroad right-of-way adjacent to Cotmeyer Drive for authorization to construct a new upgraded lift station there for sanitary sewer. The village and the railroad have exchanged proposals. The railroad has shared with us a response to our latest counter proposal, and I would wish to discuss that and a possible response with the board in closed session pursuant to our bargaining exemption that allows us to do that in closed session.
Okay, next one is review, discussion, and possible action on a letter of support from the village for Amtrak to operate a temporary passenger train station in the village of Pewaukee. Matt, anybody want to discuss, say anything about that?
President Knutson, if I may, please. So as we know, Amtrak has been exploring this now for about a year, and they had approached the three communities, including the end, Madison, along with Watertown and the village and city of Pewaukee, for expansion of their Hiawatha West line. And they thought they had a location determined within the city along DuPlainville Road that turned out to have drainage issues that Amtrak tells me was a deal breaker for that location. So they approached me to see if the village would reconsider and be willing to look at one of the two sites that they had identified in their first look as the location for their temporary stop. Their preferred site is downtown, right near the crossing at West Wisconsin. But they also looked at a platform across the street from Kiwanis Village Park. What they would need from the village tonight for their service development plan, which they have to submit to the Federal Railway Association for review, they would need a letter of support from the village to demonstrate that they have this site determined. The commitment or the cost to the village is that we would be in charge, as was stated before, we would be in charge of maintaining the parking, where they would be in charge of maintaining the platform. If there were any additional construction costs related to parking, there is federal funding that they could apply for that would be covered 80% by that funding. They are proposing to use 30 to 35 spaces for the temporary site. And as I wrap up kind of the open session portion of this, their desire for a stop in the village puts us in a position of bargaining, which is appropriate for closed session discussion that we can talk about amongst ourselves.
Okay, then we'll move on to item M. The Village Board of the Village of Pewaukee will enter a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985, when either deliberating or negotiating or purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically regarding a land lease agreement with Sioux Line Railroad Company, DBA Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, for land adjacent to Cotmeyer Drive, and a letter of support from the village for Amtrak to operate temporarily passenger train station in the village of Pewaukee. After conclusion of any closed session, the village board will convene an open session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 1985-2 for the possible additional review, discussion, and action concerning these agenda items and to address the remaining meeting agenda. I will look for a motion to go into closed session at this time.
Motion to go into closed session, Rhodey?
Second, Peter.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Staub,
Yes.
Trustee Rhodey,
Yes.
Trustee Belt,
Yes.
Trustee Pater,
Yes.
Trustee Kreiser,
Yes.
Trustee Grabowski,
Yes.
President Knutson.
Yes. Okay, we'll be going into closed session now.
Get it, Bob, get it.
Nobody? Okay, review, oops, pardon me.
We do the license agreement. just so we don't-
Yeah, review, discussion, and possible action on land lease agreement with Sioux Line Railroad Company, DBA Canadian Pacific, Kansas City, for the land adjacent to Copmeyer Drive. Is there any discussion, comments? Action.
You read the land license agreement.
So, motion to approve as presented?
Yes.
In closed session?
Second, Peter.
Can we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Still don't think it's right, but all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Motion is hereby adopted. Review, discussion, and possible action on letter of support from the village for Amtrak to operate a temporary passenger train station in the village of Pewaukee. Do we have any discussion, comments? Yes, Bob?
Does it cost us anything to have a letter of support? Are we committing to anything?
No.
I will say as a whole, I do not support this project that Amtrak is trying to push. I believe if Amtrak thinks that this is a viable thing, them as a business should be investing in this project, and I don't think it should be on the taxpayer dime. So as a whole of this project, I do not support it.
Any other comments or questions?
I guess I'll take the opposing viewpoint that I wholeheartedly support this, and when this opened back up for the village, the amount of people that reached out to me or in conversation said that it's great that the village is back in the mix for it and what that could possibly do for us. And I know in one of the meetings Bob and I had with the downtown businesses, the excitement they exhibited for a potential stop in the downtown Pewaukee and what it would potentially do for their businesses and for the property owners and property values down there, as well as the lakefront. I think it would be a tremendous opportunity for us, and to, as Bob pointed out, it doesn't cost us anything to put our support behind it at this point.
Any other comments?
I'm also see the benefits of it, and I'm definitely open to showing support for it.
Anyone else? I guess my comment would be that I'm not real into it. This was brought to us many years ago, and I don't know where Amtrak gets off as far as in Madison. No, not that.
Where do they get off? They get to Pewaukee.
Where their station in Madison is, but the last one was over by the airport, so people would have to drive from the airport to get into downtown Madison, which kind of like, to ride 2 to 3 hours possibly, maybe not that many, but you can get in your car and you can be in Madison from Milwaukee in an hour. And taking a train, there are some people that love taking a train, but I don't see a benefit to the village. And again, if the only thing that we could get out of it would possibly be some parking that would cost us a lot more money. I don't see it being in the downtown. We have 3 to 4 months out of the year that parking lot that we have downtown is packed. Every day almost. Well, I would say every day. I've never seen it empty. So for us to say, we can put it there and we're going to give it all to the train people, that's not right. That is not what that was built for. Maybe down by the park, I could maybe look at doing that, only because we could get some parking that if and when this fails, we'd still have the parking and we wouldn't have to pay for it. So that would be the only reason I would vote for this.
I don't think we need to take the approach of if and when this fails. What about if and when this succeeds and becomes a great boom for Pewaukee?
I would be extremely happy if that happened.
And
I don't see where somebody's gonna drive from the south side, or maybe the south side, I'm gonna say the north side of Milwaukee, or the middle of Milwaukee, or the lakefront, drive to the Amtrak station to get on a train to go to a city that's 25 minutes away, but get on a train for anywhere from, I have no idea what the cost is going to be, 30, 40, 50 bucks for a ride to drive out to Pewaukee when they could get in their car, not spend that 40 or 50 bucks. But if they wanted to, they could spend it in the downtown when they drove in and parked their car in our parking lot and walked over and spent it in the restaurants. I'm sorry, I don't see that happening.
You're right. I don't see people from Milwaukee taking it out to Pewaukee, but everyone I spoke to didn't even mention Madison. They said, we can get on a train in Pewaukee and go to Chicago.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Same.
Not one person I spoke to said, oh, I'm going to take the train from here to Madison. Not one.
Does it end in Madison?
It does.
Okay.
But I think the potential is that they're going to extend it to the Twin Cities.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, that wasn't even on my radar. Like, I totally even forgot that it goes to Madison. But everyone I spoke to was like, yeah. And when they originally heard that it was supposed to, that Amtrak was narrowing it down to the, what am I looking for? Over by Quad Graphics, Duplainville. Everyone's like, well, I'm never going to use it. Like, that's so out of the way, inconvenient to get to. It's inaccessible. And then when I said we're back in the mix, like, oh my God, take the train down there in wintertime, Christmas time. And so, I mean, that also gets back to what you said, Jeff, is that 3 to 4 months out of the year, we're busy down there. 8 to 9 months out of the year, we're not. And same reason why we did the reimagination of the downtown with lighting, new light poles that can accommodate cross-street cafe decorative lighting, is to create something more year-round and to bring people more year-round. And this is just another potential element that can create a year-round reason to go downtown.
It's definitely.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. It's definitely an experience. I mean, I see positives and negatives. I'm concerned about parking, but people always come to our downtown. They're like, oh, I want to go back to that Crystal shop, or like, I want to go get ice cream, and like, so if they see it once, they're gonna come back. And then also I'm thinking selfishly, like, oh, like girls trips.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to Chicago shopping. That's all. Grab breakfast at Brewers too, and then hop on the train. But also trash, possible increase in crime, and parking.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm neutral.
So we're thinking about having a stop put in there for the convenience of 11,000 residents that potentially could use the train.
To leave Pewaukee, we're not even.
To leave.
No one's.
It's not
no
gonna
one has
be a
said people-
destination.
no one's saying it's gonna be a destination.
Right.
So that's.
Who's saying it's not? I mean, we're
Everything
speculating.
you guys just said was people from Pewaukee getting on it to go to Chicago.
But we live here.
Right.
Well, I know, but that's what.
I didn't poll the
but that's
people
what
in
it is.
Chicago to say that they
like,
wouldn't
oh, I
come
want to
here.
go to Pewaukee. Like, oh, I don't know.
I'm sure they would use it. I mean, there's people that have second houses on Pewaukee Lake that live down there.
I mean, there is, and there's people that have come up from Illinois all the time to spend a day on the lake, whatever, but I also do think there's tons of ways that it would be a destination, even if we didn't necessarily, or that wasn't actually brought up, but there's multiple reasons I think that the people would come out. I mean, just even thinking about like the 3rd and the 4th and that great endeavor that we just put on and all those people that came from out of town. But it also like puts us on the map between some really big
Literally.
cities. for our name to be known, people to slow down with our cute little town and see us, you know, here. I think there's a ton of reasons why it brings attention and tourism to our area.
But, I mean, we're talking even, you know, so we have two different conversations going. The macro of the out of town, you know, people from Madison coming in or people from Chicago coming up. We're ignoring the micro view of people from Delafield, Economowoc, Heartland, Sussex that want to jump on the train, that would come here, grab a sandwich at Chocolate Factory before they get on the train to go. You know,
We've been picking up family coming from Chicago.
Correct.
Let's quick grab lunch. Okay, we're going
like
to Madison.
so you're saying 11,000 people or 8,500 village residents. Like, there's a they picked us because it would appeal to the larger Lake Country area.
Well, they picked us.
Because of our accessibility to the larger Lake Country area. 16, Capitol, 94, all right there.
Right.
Okay,
So is this?
I guess my last comment would be is, you know, back in the 1919s and
The 1900s?
1900s, we had a lot of trains that stopped here. In fact, we had a beautiful train station, similar to right where the parking lot is.
On the beachfront, or on the
Yep,
beachfront.
we have, and we had people coming here all the time. And guess what killed the train?
The
People
radio.
driving cars.
Oh.
I do
The
kind of
minute the cars came out, the train went. Because we still had the hot springs, we still had the swimming pools, we still had the downtown that was really vibrant, had a car dealership down there. We had the lakefront, we had bars that went out on the water, that were right on the water. And there was a lot going on, but the train died. And the cars came and the cars came again. And that's kind of how I'm looking at this right now. The 90% of the people that are coming here, well, all of them right now, because we don't have a train stop, but they're coming here by car because it's more convenient. If they're going to do shopping, they shop, they put it in their car, they don't have to lug it back onto the train. You know, I think it's a great idea as far as, yeah, maybe we would get some advertising out of it. Definitely into it if I get the parking lot down on Capitol Drive that we've been discussing. But if we're gonna put it right where the parking lot is now, I think that is a big disservice to the community and the people that are in this community.
But they're not making us pick right now. We're just saying we're supporting. We have to submit which one we are interested in?
Yeah, we have to identify a site.
All right.
I vote for the Kiwanis Park location.
Yeah, but I agree with that. I just want to go back to kind of the tone that it's kind of overshadowing this after, you know, we just had two presentations to start the evening about reimagining our downtown, creating a place people want to come to, making it a tourist destination, making it beautiful and approachable and relaxing and everything else. And then we're having this discussion going, who the hell wants to come to Pewaukee on a train? Like, it kind of makes it seem like everything we just got hyped up for and all the motivation and momentum we're trying to capitalize on, we're saying is fake, because nobody would want to come to Pewaukee. That's stupid to think that, you know, someone's going to use this train or come downtown or patronize our businesses. It's like, well, it's one or the other. And I think we're on the way up. I think our downtown is vibrant. I think we have a great mix of restaurants and and bars and everything else, and a new lakefront. And I think this puts us back as a destination that people would stop at and spend the day.
So you're okay with building it where the parking lot is?
No, I mean, I didn't say that. I said I also support the Kiwanis Village Park, but I'm saying I support being considered by Amtrak for this.
And to expand past the 11,000 of our community, 850,000 passengers use Amtrak in Wisconsin annually. That's insane to me. I never would have thought that.
The other part that we have to consider is, so perfect, Jeff, you're right. A lot of people drive in because it's more convenient. We wouldn't take it to Madison because it's a 45-minute drive. But you know what? There's going to be people downtown that take it to Madison and are going to drive and are going to ride a train through Pewaukee and go, oh, hell, is that a band playing out there? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, look at this lakefront. Oh, I didn't see it. It's no different than, like, Lazar, for instance, has no qualms about when we shut down the main street for a festival. And he goes, it doesn't really do much for my business that night, but that's potentially 1,000 sets of eyes that did not know I existed as a restaurant before. And they might not come in there that night, but then they'll go, we should go back and try that restaurant. So even if they aren't getting off the train then, for all we know, they're looking at it going, we should come out. How about next weekend we come out here?
They already go through a village.
What's that?
They already go through it. Amtrak goes through it. They already see
But
it.
not-
They see
but-
the lakefront.
I know,
they
but
see
what-
the village, they see the prettiness.
But now they have the ability to stop.
Yeah, but they can't get off. Once you get off, you have to get off for good. You have to get off for 6 hours, 8 hours.
That's the day.
Yeah, but I would question that 850,000 riders are commuters and commuters only.
Yeah, they're going from Milwaukee to Chicago.
Yeah, they're not
They're taking-
tourists.
Correct.
I could be
But
completely
I'm
wrong.
not.
with that.
But how are you not a tourist in your own state?
Have you not gone on Amtrak recently? It's so incredible. And like,
Yeah, it's very expensive.
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then you shouldn't have to worry about crime because the criminal's not.
That's not my comment. It's not my comment.
Then that resident should not have to worry about the riffraff on it if it's an expensive
I'm
ticket.
thinking of, okay, we're gonna sign a complete parking lot of 36 dedicated spaces for a temporary solution right now. That's taking away from parking.
That's one spot. That's one location.
Right, but we have to pick a location.
Right.
Right now.
And so far, no one has advocated for that
Okay.
location.
Okay, but either or. So you're still gonna take up parking, right?
Didn't we just talk about adding new parkers?
But it's still, so we wanted to add that parking anyways. Now we're gonna add it, but then we're gonna say, hey, we're only gonna do 50% of what we wanted down there because we're adding this. So it's gonna still take up potential parking and long-term parking, right? Because you can hop on a train and be parked there for how long? 2 years? A year? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I live right by Kiwanis Park. I'm gonna drive down there. I'm gonna see 30 cars there parked forever, all the time. I get the pros, but I'm also thinking of the cons. That's what I'm thinking of. You're gonna get people that are gonna park there that are gonna take it to Chicago only for work purposes or a potential tourist visit, like a girls trip or something like that. Very small percentage. I don't think people are coming this way at all.
Can we get statistics from them?
Yeah, I think that's all, we're all speculating, and it's
Yeah.
almost 9 o'clock. So
100%.
is it possible that we could maybe just, vote each and then say our location and just kind of move this
Well, I think it's
forward?
support, right? We have to pick a location and then support, right?
Right, so
Right.
do you vote to support and then pick
Yeah.
your location if you do?
Action can be, I don't have to say action. Somebody wants to make a,
Do we need to do like a roll call thing, or
Well,
does it
I think
not
it,
matter?
I think
No,
it's,
we can do
I think
it
it's
all.
before somebody makes a motion, because if, let's say, make the motion for downtown, everyone goes nay, or I think it's easier if we at least know what the temperature of the board is for a location and if they're in favor of it before the motion is made, just to make that easier.
I'm Kiwanis Park, according to Matt now.
I'm Kiwanis Park as well.
Also Kiwanis.
Same.
I'm sorry, but that was-
So far, everyone's been in favor of Kiwani, supporting it in.
if I'm gonna
at
do it,
Kiwanis.
it's gonna be a Kiwanis. That's the only place I'd do it.
Now you're gonna ask them to get off Kiwanis and walk their butts all the way to the businesses.
They don't have to walk because you said their car's gonna be right there.
But no, I'm talking, if they're coming from Chicago, they don't have a car. If they're tourists, they don't have a car. So now you're just saying hey, we're gonna put this there, but we're also just gonna tease them. They're not gonna walk there. Now you're gonna probably somebody's gonna try to develop something, that corner, that abandoned building, whatever the heck that is, that old tanning salon there. That could be the most profitable Starbucks in history.
Or Oakland
Perfect.
Avenue could be developed more?
Exactly.
There's so many.
So I'm thinking
options.
so if you're thinking tourism, you have to put it downtown.
I don't think so. People
No.
walk, we're talking
Okay,
about
so-
people who
I'm making a motion
thanks, yeah.
that we send a letter of
Support.
support for the Kiwanis Park location.
Seconded, Grabowski.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 2 nays, 5 ayes, is that what I understand? Okay. Motion's hereby carried. Again, citizen comments, nobody here. Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are hereby adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.